Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Silver Dragon XL. Welcome to another round of the GT3 AOR Tier 1 series. We are in round 5, potentially. It's going too quickly. My mind's like melting into one, but we're around the middle half of the season. So, without further ado, for the 5th or 6th time, or maybe 4th, it's definitely more than 4, welcome to Miss Jess again.
Good evening, Evil. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to England, where the weather may change quite a bit of things, but certainly not in Donington. It is been a part of British motorsport for pretty much ever since we could remember, being the country's first true road circuit to be built and the oldest still in use today. It was built in 1931 and it's been used till the present day, and it's been posed a popular challenge for drivers, and obviously motorcyclists have raced here as well. So it's going to be quite tricky for the drivers, but it's going to be a lot of fun as well, Evil.
Now, circuit which first was raced in 1931. The more modern layout we see today, first, of course, was in the 1980s. Of course, 1986, the more modern layout came back, of course. A giant gap after 1939, when, of course, a certain World War happened. We don't need to go on about that. But 1977, the circuit came back, of course. 2010, it almost was completely not. It turned into what I can call a very bad mistake. Luckily, since 2010, it stayed to the layout we currently know today. A lot of exciting drama has happened around here, the likes of Formula 1, the likes of course, your old motorbikes as well. It's always going to be fun to see these GT cars fly around a circuit, which oftenly, Jess, has provided some good racing.
Yeah, it has, definitely, and I'm really sure it's going to be a lot of fun for the drivers. We've got the standings, which we'll go through in a minute, but obviously, Boy Rax has absolutely been nailing it these past couple of weeks, and we did see the battle with Jazzman and him as well, which was quite good last week, wasn't it? A good end to Hockenheim.
Indeed, an incredible fight to the death between Jazzman, who needed to get that season off to a good start after what had been a very poor couple of races, compared likes of the other drivers. Gaza as well having a good race in indeed, but a lot of drivers' expectations are going to be high as they come into the second half of the season.
Yeah, and before we actually go to qualifying and we go to the standings, we've got a hot lap which is commentated and driven once again by our very own Jazzman, so I hope you guys enjoy it.
Hey everybody, Jazzman here, taking you on board around Donington. Head into the first corner. You want to try break just before that dark patch down to second. Try to get as early apex as possible so you can get a good exit. Heading onto the straight now. This is just going up the gears into fifth. You'll want to just keep a tight line through this corner here to open up to this next right-hander. Down into third. Try to get as nice apex as possible and try to carry as much speed as possible through that corner. Can gain you a lot of time. Heading up into this next section, I just like to keep it on fourth rev after car change down to third and get a late apex. Heading up now, this is a nice tricky corner here, blind right-hander, straight into third, and try open up your wheel as early as possible to get the exit. Heading onto the back straight, this next chicane is a tricky one. It can be taken either in third or second. I just prefer second as it's just a bit more stable in race conditions. And once again, just focusing on trying to keep the car as smooth as possible. Get into the second last corner, you brake into first gear, just try to keep it tight to the apex as possible and open up the steering as early as possible to get a good exit. into the final corner. It's a left hand. It's probably the most tricky corner on the track to keep the rear in check. Down into first. Try and get a late apex so you can get a good exit. And that has been Jasmine. Yeah, I'll see you guys on track.
Okay, so before we get to qualifying, we'll just go through the standings very quickly. So we've got Boy Raxa that is leading the championship by quite a way up in front with 201 points. It is a 38-point gap between him and obviously Tinnis, of course, in second place. Another person to have a win this season. Gaza also won this season. He's in third place in the other Gaza and Raxa racing car. With a 64-point gap, only a 26-point gap to Tinnis, so quite close there. Fourth is Jasko, who's got a disconnect, sadly, last week. And then we've got Big Kid Daddy, who's in fifth place, 100 points behind the leader. And then we've got Leonardo and Defino, sixth and seventh in the Kosigi Raging Bull Academy car. Papano in eighth, Wolfman in, I believe he's not here tonight because his internet has died, so he's not racing. And Jazzman, who got his first points of the season, in 10th place on 41. Then we got Scold, Foggy, Ezra Racing, Vetra, and then Archel, who made his comeback last week. Unfortunately, did not go well, and he retired due to an incident. Hopefully, we can see him back on form this week. And then we got the team standings, and Gaza and Raxa Racing are running away with it at the moment. 133-point gap between them and the Squadra, one of the Squadra teams. And then we got Squadra Demon in third, Kosigi Raging Bull Academy in fourth, Motor Racing in fifth, Visual Racing in sixth, Shed Racing in seventh with 101, and HTP Motorsport only got Foggy, of course, and yet to get on the mark, Foggy, but we'll have to wait and see there. And we've got 13 minutes left to go in qualifying, and we're starting to see a few people starting to set some lap times, Evil.
Yep, starting to set some good lap times up. I suppose Fogarty's got one thing on this circuit. He has got the Fogarty S's after himself, so he's got a corner. If he spins into his own corner, I will very much not hold back on him. It'll be very awkward. So don't spin, Foggy. But a circuit which certainly has been providing some good racing. Let's go on board with... Let's find someone to go on board with. So let's go on board with likes of the last couple of corners. Let's try and find someone. Let's go on board with Mr. Scoldy Woldy then. So in the Shed, who's been upgraded to a bit more than the Shed. Let's take on a quick flying lap, even though Jasmine did it a few moments ago. But coming down towards turn number one then. Tricky braking zones. They come down into Redgate corner then. Quick long right hand. The rear one wants to come straight out. Scold immediately goes a little bit wide there on this lap. Then coming down the hill then. Down towards Craner corner. This is 2, 3. And then down towards the old hairpin, of course. The old circuit would have gone much more left under the bridges on the left and into the trees. But right now we're doing the old right then. Now up through towards... Starkey's bridge then on the left. That is the giant bridge, of course, you often see on this circuit. And then up to McLean's then, the top of the circuit, the highest point in the circuit as well, apart from the next corner, which is even higher. So, then coming up town towards the corner of Coppice then. Tricky right-hander, uphill braking. The car wants to step out, of course, get too wide on that cross, and you are a goner. Then going down to Starkey's straight, then past, of course, the International Centre on the left. And then down into the Fogarty S's then. Quick left, right chicane, of course. Scold's car not been set up at all, so he's been complaining all week long. He can't get the car working. And again, struggling so far. Down towards Melbourne hairpin, late braking. The old circuit has gone straight on down there. Past the terrace houses on the left. And then back up towards the last corner. Blind Apex this last corner as well. You brake in a blind zone, so if someone makes a mistake ahead of you, it's going to be very difficult to stop. As you come into Goddard's last corner, let the car run out wide if you dare. Careful of the curves on the outside as well. Scold knows too well about them in the past. Across the line, Scold should go about 10, and he does. So 10th place for Scold so far. But you can see 2.9 seconds on the pace. That was not a very competitive lap time at all.
No, it wasn't. And compared to Archer, was set a great lap time off the bat. 126.462. That's 2 tenths quicker than Boy Raxa in second place. Now, Archer had a really good lap last week. He was there up in pole position on his debut race, returning back into the league, whereas in the race he wasn't that good at all. So maybe there was a few occasions where a lot of these drivers are good with one lap pace, but not as good in the race. But they've got to be good in both, because A, you've got to get a good qualifying position to get high up the grid, and try and defend from battles, and B, you got to make sure you keep consistent, and that's what Boy Raxa did last week. He was absolutely consistent throughout the race, and you saw Jazzman starting to catch up towards the end. I know Jazzman was really good towards the last stint, just after he pitted as well. You saw after he pitted, that was when he was increasing his pace just a little bit. We could see drivers do a little bit of that today. Maybe Jazzman, I think, will do the same, because it worked out well for him. But we've seen, I think, a few people might nip Jazzman's strategy today, because we know that it might have worked well for him, and it may work well for the other drivers. It may work for Boy Raxa.
Yeah, right now, Jazzman and Boy Raxa currently on the first 2 positions. Then Archfield bumped down to 3rd. Gaza in 4th position so far. He's had a big kid daddy right now. Defino and Jasko, who just made a mistake down the straight, who of course was pointing the backwards at the end of the first lap in the Hockenheim ring just 7 days ago. Pardo coming up behind him in 8th position. Now him and Jazzman had a bit of a confrontation after the race, of course, because of Pardo making a little bit of a dive. Some say it was a bit reckless. I'd say that was a brilliant opportunistic move from the young driver as well. They're noted down in 10th so far. Foggy in 11th, ahead of Essa in the other cuss. Hold down there in 14th. Vetro beating someone for the first time in quite a while so far. He's been struggling all week long. Again, maybe some circumstance could be better. The conditions, I know, have been complained about. And down the back, of course, we have got Matt Jordan, I believe that is actually there. The new Cam 123 days. I think his name is Matt Jordan. So welcome to the tier for him as well. So far setting his first couple of laps out of the box as well. So everyone on circuit bar SO is in the pit lane. And so far, top 2 separated by 96 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, that is probably the closest we've seen in qualifying so far. So ground job to the top 4. Now, I'm quite surprised Archer's down in 4th for the moment, even though it's so close. But just to point out, most times that he's come here, he has won. So expect big things for him, and also, obviously, expect a few things from guys who've been getting podiums in other tiers as well. Defino could expect things as he climbs his way up the order in the standings at the moment. He's 7th at the moment, but he wants to beat his teammate Leonardo, that's for sure, because I know he doesn't want to get a bad result once again. He got 7th place last week, which not good, but definitely not the worst result out of everybody, and he kept it consistent towards the end, and that really worked well in his favour last week as well. Tinner's down in 5th place, but only 2 tenths down, so pretty impressive from these drivers. You can tell most of these guys have been practicing. I've seen them talking about it in a chat a lot, which means business. It is the crucial part of the championship. We're halfway already almost. I can't believe it, Evo.
Oh, no, the season's going quicker and quicker, and well, we're coming to the second part, and the circuits definitely get better and better. Of course, we say that we have got Monaco coming up in a couple of weeks, so that will very much put a very large spanner in the works for quite a lot of these drivers, because we know how Monaco tends to perform on things, but the top 3 now 96,000 separated. So far, Lamborghini, Mercedes, then that is the team of Gaza and Boy Raxa. So the Raza-Gaza combo working well yet again. As off the road there goes one of the Audis. I'm presuming, is that Skold? No, that'll be Esser who's going off backwards there. So Skold in 12th position so far. Fogarty across the line, improves a little bit there. So he stays just 11th place so far. So not really going as far as he wants to be going so this season. But Fogarty, he's often a man on a mission. He is the most successful driver, not the most successful, most experienced driver of the season, of some over 300 GT starts, might I say, endurance starts, project car starts, we shall say there. And again, adding to Los Celeste, he's the elder statesman. Yes, he's not the quickest so far. He struggles on this game. He struggles. He needs the perfect conditions, and he is a whopper. Of course, right now, it's not what he wants to be doing. Defino right now, coming out the pit lane. He's in 7th place. Good result for him. He's got what looks to me like Jaska coming up through the last couple of corners. That'll be Big Kid Daddy coming through turn 1. It's Big Kid Daddy coming through turn 1 then. So, let's see what he can do. The other elder statesman, he's been going since season 1, round 1. So he is very much the elder statesman as well. So, Fogarty, he might be the most experienced, but Big Kid Daddy's been here since the start as well. He's doing the good job so far. He's in the top 6 and he's improving all the time. But it's just got that big gap, Jess. You got the top 5 and then just a bit of a gap down to the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with the qualifying this close, only there's mistakes that if you make just one little mistake, it can cost you your lap, and it could cost you not 1, not 2, maybe 3 positions if it stays like this at the moment. So they've got to tidy things up a bit, but 4 minutes left only, so they still got a bit of time to go. It's quite a short lap, one of the shortest laps on the calendar here in AOR GT3. Obviously we've got Monaco as well, that's quite short as well, but quite tricky as well in a few weeks time as well. This is going to be the last of these normal races for a while, I believe. As obviously I do believe we got the sprint race next week, and then actually no, we've got Monaco's not the endurance race, it's the normal race, so I scrapped my thought on that one. But yeah, next week will be the sprint race, but obviously the last of the normal ones for a while, so they've got to get their toes in a little bit more. Mandatory pit stop for these drivers then. We've got Archel, who's just coming out for his final lap. I do believe Jazzman is going to be doing the same, Tinnis. He is coming through towards the last couple of corners now. He's got a bit of traffic behind him though, so he's got some clear air, which is really going to help him a bit more. We may see a few others get a tow from him though, so he definitely doesn't want that, so he needs to start pushing a lot harder compared to the other drivers. We do have one driver ahead of him, that's Papano, and he's on a lap 2, as there's probably a bit of a lock-up from him at the moment, and yeah, the track will start to evolve pretty soon, so they better get there quick to set their final laps before it's too late.
Yep, Vetro improving down the back. He's ahead of Jasco so far as they come down into the Melbourne hairpin. So always good to see these drivers so close. 1.8 seconds separates the top guys. I must say there is Barney getting out of the way. Very impressed by Matt Jordan so far. P7 in the Mercedes. Put some slap bang in the middle, beating some more established drivers so far this season. So good to see that you can jump in there as Byraxa goes quickest by 74 thousandths of a second then from Jasmine. So Jasmine, my friend, has got it all to work for. He's, by the way, if you didn't know, 100th Grand Prix, well, 100th Project Cars start. I keep saying Grand Prix, even though it's not Grand Prix. But, of course, 100th race start. So that is always very good indeed. Gaza in 3rd, Archel in 4th. Big Kid Daddy ahead of Tinner so far. So again, Tinner struggling this season compared to his teammate relatively. He's down there in 6th. Ahead, of course, Matt in 7th, Defino in 8th, Jasco in 9th, Papano down in 10th, ahead of Vectro, who of course is known as Jeffrey is his real name, and ahead of Leonardo. Then we've got Mr. Cole Fogarty in 30th, not related to the motorbike, but alas. We've got Mr. Lewis down there in 14th, and then we've got Essa, who I think is Chris, down at the back as well. So Chris. A lot of very quick drivers struggling down the back. You got the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers really struggling. Papano, who's had a relatively shocking qualifying, though he's up by 2 tenths, so this should put him around about 8th position. He's got, must be Tinnis behind him there, and it's Tinnis right behind him as well. So let's see what these two can do. We've got 1 minute 41 on the clock, so they'll be able to do this lap and the next one they'll do as well. So a little bit of time left on the ball, Jess. And let's see what they can do across the line. And let's see, Papano, does he improve? Should be around about 10 position. He does stay 7th. He's backed off his lap, so he's happy with what he's done. Back to the pit lane. Tinnis now begins his flying lap. And this will be crucial to see if he can get up there with the likes of Jazzman. Big Kid Daddy, meanwhile, up there into 4th position. So that's massive stuff for him so far this season. A bit of a mistake through turn 1. So I don't think this will be a very good lap time this time around. Laszlo, 4th position, very good result for him. Gaza, meanwhile, up to 2nd, so he's bumped Jazzman down to 3rd. 10/100ths of a second now separate the 1st and 2nd place cars. Now let's see, what can Mr. Jazzy Boy do? He is, of course, from Qatar right now, born in South Africa. Let's see, can he get himself on the front row of the grid then for what is going to be 100th time? And it's going to be the 100th time of asking himself to do a mega lap time. Let's see. But so far, 8 attempts down. He's going to have 1 more attempt on it. He's got a lot of fuel though, so this is not really ideal.
No, it's not. And like other racing games, the less fuel you have, the quicker your lap will be. So Jazzman is going to have a lot of hindrance in his final lap. Whereas people like Boy Raxa, he's going to be absolutely fine as we've got 15 seconds left, so chance for people to do their final laps. Boy Raxa is going to come across the line. I do believe he's going to have time to set what actually no he's not because he's running out of fuel, so this is going to be his lap he is going to set for qualifying. So he's going to come across the line now. Let's see if he can do enough to stay pole position. Right now it's 126.2 at the moment. He doesn't improve. He stays pole though. Gaza, he's going to come across the line now. He's the one challenging for pole. 10,000 slower at the moment, but can he find a little bit of time? Nope, he's gone back into the pits. Jazzman, he's in the pits as well, and Jasko's going slowly. We've got 2 other cars, I think, 3 other cars. We've got Defino, who's about to go towards the start for this straight, and then we've got 2 other cars, I think, running in tandem. Not quite sure who they are. Defino goes into the pit, so we've got Tinnis and Tinnis, and I think it's Skoldoressa.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
no.
Matt Jordan ahead of him, and then we got 2. That'll be Jasko and Byraxa then, who have finished their lap time. So, waiting for the leads. Matt Jordan all over the curves on the exit, dragging that car around like a donkey, might I say. The Mercedes, like you could say, it is a rather it's a rather loose stallion right now. And once we get out of the way, there's Tinnis goes flying past, and well, I was about to say it's a rather loose car, but well, that proves it's a very loose car, and he goes spinning around into the Shadow Realm. Would have been good enough to put him around about, well, 8th position, because that's a huge gap down to 7th and 8th, about 6 or about 4 or 5 attempts. Tinnis does not improve meanwhile, so your pole position then will be by Raxa by 10/100 of a second from Gaza. Jazzman in 3rd, Jasko a very good 4th indeed. Big Kid Daddy down in 5th. Archil in 6th, ahead of Tinnis in 7th then. But Pardo, a disappointing hit for him. Matt Jordan, a brilliant 9th though for his debut, ahead of Defino in 10th. Lewis down in 11th, ahead of Jeffrey in 12th. Cole Fogarty down in 13th, again struggling this season. Leonardo, very shocking 14th for the Brazilian. Essa down on rounding out that last position. Of course, one driver not here. That is, of course, Mr. Wolf, who had some technical issues earlier on.
Yep, indeed. The closest qualifying of the season, in particular, the top 5, separated by 0.2 of a second. Amazing. Incredible. And it's getting a bit more cloudier than we've seen in the qualifying, so the lap times will probably be a lot slower to start with, obviously due to the fact that they have more fuel, as Boy Raxa is at the front of the grid. As everyone has had a chance to get their setups locked in now and also get their strategy. Don't forget they will have to pit once. Well, some of them may choose to pit in the middle. Some people may choose to pit around about lap 8 and 9. And some, like last week, may leave it towards the very end. But that could be really risky if you want to try for the overcut to see if you can go ahead. But it is one of those tracks where anything can happen. It's one of those tracks where quite more people have practiced more than ever. It's been, I think, part of the AOR GT3 family for quite a while. And it's been a part of most seasons, actually. And quite a lot of people love it. I love actually watching it and commentating it. I've never raced it, but if I did race it, I'll probably be absolutely shocking at it. Evil, I wonder what you think about racing in it, Evil.
Well, racing in the old GT3, well, I have done quite a bit of practice. I do enjoy it. Compared to some drivers, I'm round about Scold's pace, and of course, on a pad, at least like Vector and Scold, it is quite difficult on this game. Of course, soon to be non-pad user potentially, depends on circumstances, but last, we're getting there. We'll see what happens. We'll see if my career kicks off. Maybe, who knows? Might do next season. No, I'm commentating probably. But anyway, I like to imagine I can race. I think I'm stuck here in the comments box for the rest of eternity. Watch out for though. For turn number 1, we've got a good couple of opportunities to overtake. Of course, we've got down to Redgate. Often, if you get a good exit at the last one, you can make a move. Expect not many overtakes down into the Craner corner. That little left corner down towards the old hairpin. Don't expect any rash moves down there. McLean's if you're lucky. Apart from that, it's going to be down into the Fogarty S's and the likes of Melbourne and Goddard as we get now underway on our formation lap. So, about 4 or 5 opportunities to overtake. How many of them are going to be realistic? Remember, conditions are around about 18 degrees C. So, they are very, very cold temperatures. Most drivers will be running on the soft tyres as well. I think Scold might be trying to run on the hard as well. So we'll see what happens for him. Vector, of course, last couple of races has been driving on the hards. That's why he's been struggling so much. He's had a little bit of a rethink about that, and he's now gone on the soft tyres as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's onwards and upwards for our old Dutchman down the back. Of course, being beaten by the man from the Vatican. He's not actually from the Vatican, but I like to imagine he is. Of course, he is literally on his game. He is the Pope, and apparently I'm Kim Jong-un. So I mean, you know, you can name yourself whatever you want on this game as long as you don't say something weird. But alas, got some interesting driver names out here. But up front, Byraxa and Gaza, of course, the Raza Gaza, as I like to say. They've been playing Minecraft with me actually quite recently, and this Minecraft practice is clearly helping them because they are currently locking out the front row of the grid. Then we've got Lamborghini from 3rd, 4th, 5th, then to Archer in 6th. Then we've got 7th, 8th, both Lamborghinis. Then comes the first of the then we've got the first Mercedes apart from the guys up front. Then we've got another Lamborghini, then Scold, Vectro, Fogarty, Leonardo and Edsa in the Audi starting down the back. Now, Byraxa and Gaza, we expect them not to race too heavily at the start of this race. We expect them team orders to be intact. Just try and pull away, just try and keep the car clean, no mistakes. The second half of this season is going to be the critical one as they come down towards the last corner, Jess.
Yep, exactly. They're all going to go in a 2x2 formation pretty soon, and it'll be up to Byraxa to really start to bring it home here today. Who's going to come out on top? Let's find out. The 5 red lights about to, well, they're not going to come on, as Byraxa is going to try and lead the field away.
Yep, and he is leading the field away. Good start for him then. Jazzman follows suit as it comes down to for the first time then. Good start from Byraxa. Good start from Gaza. There in the background, both of the Lamborghinis, all 3, 4 of them, slotting into the first corner correctly then. So, good start as they now come down through Craner Corner then for the first time then, lap number 1. Good start from Byraxa, Gaza as well. And you all seem to be keeping it relatively in check then as they come down through the old head for the first time. A few cars going side by side. Matt Jordan up a few positions there. Archer, a bad start for him down there as well. He's now under pressure from Scold, who's made a good start from 9th position so far. He finds himself in 9th and challenging around the outside to come up to McLean's for the first time. Scold, good start, looking pressurising then on Archer, who's had a shocking couple of starts this season. But crucially, Jess, everyone keeping themselves relatively out of scratch for the first lap this time around.
Yeah, that's great to see, and in before there's someone that might have a little bit of an instant if you just jinx that evil, so hopefully that doesn't happen right now. So our biggest gainers and our newest driver, Matt Jordan, up to 7th place already. That's pretty good. Scold, he's in 8th. Obviously, he had a good result last time about, and he's going to try and have a battle with the goal. It's going to be 3 wide. This may not end well. And there's a bit of contact there, and Papano managed to get there unscathed in the Lamborghini. So that's Papano up a few places as well, which is very, very good to see. Let's see if Scold can try and go for a move. Oh, it's very, very risky going into the start-finish straight, but he still manages to do it as well. Archer is in this battle as well. Let's see what Archer can make of it as well, as they're all really starting to go close together, and this can shape up to either go very wrong or go well. And Fogarty has probably had an awful start. He's either doing a scheduled pit stop or he's going into the pits, so for damage. So I don't know what's happened to him, but let's just watch this battle anyway.
Scold, try around the outside through the old hairpin. Doesn't really try and make a move around there, my friend. It's brave, you can do it, but in these GT cars, it's going to be very difficult. He's hounding Archer right now. Archer is rather holding back, it looks like right now, because Scold is trying on the outside, he's trying on the inside. Look, it's got the yellow Lamborghini train behind him, by the way. You've got Duffino, Vector and Leonardo all in the yellow train. Jasco, meanwhile, up front's got a time penalty. That'll be a second for him. Scold still challenging that car up front, though. It is by 1.1 seconds. Byraxa ahead of Gaza. Then comes Jazzman, Jasco, Big Kid Daddy. Then comes Tinus. Then comes Matt Jordan. In the background, you can see those 2 cars in the background. There is Duffino having a look up the inside of Scold. I think Scold now starting to drop back. No, sorry, that is Scold. Under pressure. And now dropping back 1 position so far. So the Audi not really working at the start of this race. And he's called the temperatures. Starting to struggle, starting to drop back. This was always going to be expected, of course. That car is not as suited around this circuit. It never really has worked as best as it could be around here. Fogarty, we believe, had damage on the opening lap. We saw him go wide through the chicane, through, of all things, the Fogarty S's. That's where he went off, so I don't want to say he's gone off in his own corner, but he has gone off in his own corner, and that is going to be rather a little bit awkward for him. Jasko and Tinnis have both got time penalties meanwhile, so mid-pack, Big Kid Daddy looking on his teammate right now, Jasko, and are these two going to go battle then here at Donington Park? That is the question. Imagine they should just be able to keep each other in check. Got Matt Jordan still in 7th position. He's doing a good start for him, by the way, keeping up with really the top group of drivers to Jasko. A little bit holding up his teammate right now, I see.
Yes, I mean, you don't really want to do that. You would really want to hold up the other drivers, but that's probably what they're trying to do. Oh,
sure, was that Skull going wide? If that was Skull, yes, Skull
yeah,
going
Skull.
wide. It goes Vector around the outside. Now, these two have come together in this chicane before. Don't do it twice, boys. That's going to be contact. Skull just about avoids that. So does Vector. How did they all? No, they haven't. Vector's gone round then, so he did get tapped then.
Evil.
So Vector tagged. I thought for a second they all got through, but Vector pointing backwards into the exit of Fogarty's hairpin, and unfortunately for him, that is not what he wanted to do. And I think did Skull get away of that as well as we've lost the driver. He's already retired. Archer out already then, so that has gone wrong as Skull did the pit lane. Oh, yeah, Leonardo almost rear-ended him. Yeah, Leonardo got damaged there front right of the car. Again, Archer out after a simple mistake, and this is going to get noted, of course. Doesn't look like he's got too much damage there. Vetro also in the pit lane as well. I wonder if that's done too much damage to the rear end of his car, but not what we see. Meanwhile, Jazzman behind Gaza, and these two had a good battle last couple of races. They tend to like battling. Let's see, Jazzman on Gaza, as I always called him Gazman. Gaza said he might change his name to Gazman to annoy me. If he does that, I might generally not be impressed, because I'll be never getting them correct. But Gaz and Jazz, the G and the J, and the big line of cars being. We've got Jasko, Cam, Tinnis, Big Kid Daddy, who's now down to 7. So instead of attacking his right teammate, he's now behind a few other drivers. So he's gone off somewhere on the last couple of laps. And Dick, Fogarty meanwhile up to 11. So he's gaining a few positions since his pit stop. So good start for him, Jess, as Matt Jordan all over the back of Jasko as well, down from 4th and 5th position.
yeah, indeed. He's going to try and see if he can get pretty much 4th place in this race, which will be a decent, considering he's started lower down the field. It's great to see, but earlier on, an example of a commentator's curse which should not happen. So hopefully no more jinxes this stream from either of us. I'll probably end up jinxing people, so I'll try and not say anything about the word jinx ever again. But anyway, he's lost a bit of time now in his corner, so I'm guessing that the straight line speed is good in the other car of Jasko.
Gone.
Oh, and it...
So, well done, Jess. Exactly on cue about catching up to Jasko, and he's gone and spun it.
Oh, no, why?
Oh, no, almost gets collected by Defino as well.
That was my fault. That was my fault.
Today is the commentator of the cursing. Commentator of the cursing? The commentator of the cursing. We'll go with that one today. Commentator of the cursing. There we go. New line from Evil. But yeah, Archer out already then, so we believe some issues for him. Not what he wants to be seeing. 2nd race in a row since he's rejoined. He's retired due to issues out of his hand, of course. No, we'd like to see the drivers when they make mistakes. We'd like to see him continue, of course. We don't know the severity of the damage. As well, of course, he might be, I believe he is on the wheel, so it depends how much of an impact that might have hurt his hand potentially. But Big Kid Daddy, Jasko, who's just going off the road, I was about to say he's catching Jasko, he's now ahead of Jasko, so never mind then. Before I think of saying words, he's gone off the road. So everyone's struggling today at Donington Park. We know the conditions are very, very, very cold, might I say. It's I think about April time. Sorry for the voice break as well, my voice is hurting today. But alas, Tinnis now into 5th position. Jasko ahead of Papano in 7th. So Jasko now wanting to make a move back up and try and overtake Tinnis in 5th position. Right now, Jazzman only just about keeping up with Gaza. Not a lot of action going on. Meanwhile, down the rest of the field, you got this little gaggle of cars, Tinnis, Jasko, Papano all together. As long as they don't all throw each other off the road or have any mistakes on cue. But they all seem to have made this corner correctly. No one making any mistakes whatsoever this time around. So Got to be careful the answer to that corner. We've got Lamborghini, 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 and Lamborghini. Behind them, guess what? It's a Lamborghini. Behind that, guess what? It's a Mercedes. Yeah. Then behind that's an Audi. So then we've got the Audi. Then we got Foggy down there in 11. Then we got this gaggle of drivers who were caught out on those incidents earlier on. Leonardo Alvetto, he said, if this goes wrong, I might not have a telly later on. Well, let's hope his telly remains in good pieces after this, because he's not going to be best pleased with that telly, I don't think, later on. Unfortunately, though, nothing he could do, Jazz.
No, I think he got involved in it. There was nothing he could have done. He tried to avoid it, and it just didn't work. And that is why he had to go into the pits. But at least he doesn't have to pit again, so he can pretty much go towards the end of this race, unless his tyres overheat, which you don't want to do. So it is up to him on how he manages those tyres. That puts Papano stays in 7th, and we know Papano likes to flip quite a lot as well. Only joking, Papano doesn't like to flip. He wants to get involved, and Defino has spun. I believe that was the start-finish straight, just before the start-finish straight. Yes, it is. Yeah. So that is him another place down. That is down into 9th place now. So that means Matt is back up into 8th. Essa Racing, he's in 10th, so not too bad at the moment. Hasn't scored any decent points right now. He's 3rd last in the championship right now. 2nd last out of the drivers that have taken part in every race so far. And you don't want that. I mean, you don't want to have those glory points, to be honest. Right now, Jazzman's still looking pretty, but he's still trying his best to just hold off, obviously, Tinnis as well. And not Tinnis, Gaza right behind as well. I'm getting confused with Jazzman and Jasco. He's gonna, there's a
Jazzman, Gaza, they're all morphing into one name to me now. Gazman 770987. Gazmango. That sounds like some weird alien fruit. Meanwhile, I think Papano's having a look at Jasco. Is he having a look at the inside down there? That'd be brave. That'd be very brave. That'd be contact. There is contact. That's a little bit clumsy there from Papano. Rather forces him way through. I don't think Jasco. I imagine he'll be flashing his lights there. I think, is he letting him back through? He is letting him back. No, he's not. Oh, I thought for a second he was there. Now, I don't think Jasco's going to be best pleased about that. I'm rather argy-bargy me from that Lamborghini to get the way through. But alas, here's one way to get him through going like that. And of course, these GT cars can take a few knocks, unlike some other cars on this game, where you touch the car and you are sent into the stratosphere. And going into the stratosphere on this game is not fun on this game, although you get some beautiful shots of the Sky Dome. I've taken a few of them in this game, and if you ever get a disconnected car and you save the replay, you get a very picturesque view of the circuit. I posted a few, and I might post a few more on Twitter as well, so do follow me on Twitter. Link might be somewhere in the description or below. And you can see some more beautiful circuits. You can see all of them on this game. I'm taking them bit by bit, what they actually look like from space. And they're interesting, what I see. You can see some details you didn't think there would be there. You can see, especially on this circuit, you can see the airport, which is literally just over the road from this circuit as well.
Very interesting. It kind of reminds me of when F1 2019 had a little bit of a bit of a glitch where you can actually do that, which was actually quite kind of cool, actually, to be fair. A lot of interesting pictures were taken from that. But enough about that. Let's focus a little bit more on this cheeky little battle we've got here between it was Jazzman and obviously Gaza, and Papano's having a battle. Literally, there's battles happening all over the shot right now, which is great to see, which means I think they're starting to get used to the temperatures. I know they're not going to like it one bit, but I think they're starting to close the gap a little bit. Jazzman is getting used to Gaza right on his gearbox at the moment, so let's see what he could do to try and get past turn 1 and turn 2. Doesn't quite make head or tail of it at the moment. He's got to worry about Big Kid Daddy though behind, because he's not that far behind either. And we got car stationary.
He's out of fuel. Now how has he done that then? So that is a critical mistake from Essa.
Did he put quality fuel on?
Or is he disconnected? He's doing 199 kilometers an hour whilst not moving. Now that seems like he's either run out of fuel or something terrible's happened to his car.
Hopefully he can explain it, because that is very weird.
But poor old Chris, and if he has run out of fuel, by the looks of those mechanics, they are absolutely furious. Oh dear, Chris, what have you done there,
And he needs to move out of the way, because there's cars coming.
He'll be ghosted, luckily, so we get a nice aerial shot as there comes Bioraxa through. Then they are all avoiding, and Essa disconnected then. So, down to 13 runners in this race. And alas, not good. There, as you can see, Gaz a little bit of lock up. Jazzman looking tasty, looking at the rear end of that Mercedes and licking his lips. I want a piece of that one. And he might have a look at it. We know next season we're having some old faces returning. Got the Kaiser coming back. As far as we know, of course, the current circumstances may decide that factor as well. Depends on the future, but anything can happen so far. But Kaiser looking to return next season after what has been a couple of seasons out. Jazzman wants to finish that rivalry off to the peak as well. Behind them, we got Big Kid Daddy ahead of Tinnis in 4th and 5th. Then we got Jasco down there in 7th. He's behind him, but cruising ahead of Matt Jordan. He's doing a good job in 8th right now, just keeping himself relatively in check after those mistakes earlier on. We've got Duffino in 9th, Fogarty down there in 10th after that early stop. Scold, Leonardo and Vector right down the back as well. They're not too far off the pace compared to last time.
Yeah, it's great to see that they started to get more into the rhythm more, but that's what it is in racing sometimes. The more laps you do, the more you get used to it right now as well. And Jazzman is closing in lap after lap, and Jazzman obviously has got, I think I can tell he's got a little bit less fuel than Gaza up in front, I believe. So he's going to find a little bit more time. We shall see, but don't forget Jazzman is in the Lamborghini. Obviously, Gaza is in the Mercedes. Jazzman's going to have a cheeky dive around the inside. He couldn't quite do it. He could try and get the switch back though. Yep, I think he caught Gaza napping there for a little bit there. Look at Big Kid Daddy as well. He's not that far behind as well. He could just sit here tight behind these two and just wait for those two to make a mistake, which hopefully they don't. But that could be Big Kid Daddy's chance to pounce if either of those two falters. We'll have to wait and see if they all three of them make their way through turn number 1. Big Kid Daddy might try and make the lunge soon, but he's not going to, which I think is a bit safe. I think it's best for him to do that, because otherwise you will have another shunt like what we've seen earlier with a few cars being involved in a pile-up. There's Jazzman. I think he's found a bit more time, but not a lot. So it looks like it's going to stay as it is for now, as whilst this battle is going on, it's Landboy Rax up front to increase his gap by about 5.4 seconds, Evil.
Yeah, he's pulling away a lot, and a bit more than a lot, because he's now got 5.4 seconds, like you said. And that's rather proving a point right now. Like, he's got pace, he's going to be going for the championship, of course. Jazzman still stuck behind Gazel, these two, of course. Like I said earlier on, both championship contenders in their rights, although Jazzman very much not in the championship hunt so far this season. Of course, he didn't get any points for the first 4 races. Only took, well, the first 3, might I say. And he started it last race. He got his first points on the board. Right now, trying to get past Gaz. And Jazz, you can't do it, because that, like I said, doing a stonking job right now in that Vodafone-esque livery then. Beautiful stuff for him. He's keeping his nose clean. He's keeping the car going in a straight line. He's not making mistakes where others are faltering. As Jazzman decides he wants to come in for the undercut then. So he wants to get some clean air. Now, is anyone else coming in to join him then? No, they are not. The pit crew were not ready there, or they were, because he's away immediately then. So the pit crew in and out before Jazzman even got in and out. So,
I've noticed it was just, I think it was just a pit stop. There was no tyres or fuel change.
They might put a litre in maybe, not even that. So, quick splash and dash then, put 1 litre in like you can in these GE races. A mandatory 1 stop to spice the build up a little bit. Although I do wish these races were a little bit longer in some cases, some more variable strategies. But fortunately, we've only got, totally 16 cars available. Of course, 13 right now, 2 drivers out of the race. That being, of course, Mr. Etta, who disconnected, we've heard then, and the car of Archer, who retired earlier on after making a mistake and spun. And then, we don't like seeing that. Meanwhile, we have Mr. Matt Jordan, 6th position so far in this race. Closing up on Jasco now. He's keeping Jasco relatively honest. So, though that mistake earlier on when he was behind Jasco, he's caught on the back up. He's maintained a position. He's got his composure back. He is setting the quickest lap times on the circuit, 1:27.6. He's a 10th quicker, give or take, roughly, than Biorax, who's also setting a 1:27.6 this time around. So the boy's got pace, and let's see what he can do then with it. He's got a big opportunity to outscore some big names this season. And he's doing all he can right now. So that's laps on 128.0. In the background, that is Tinnis in the pit lane in the second team car with Jazzman. And the Raging Bull in the pit for now then. So they've clipped their wings ever so slightly. Now they're going to go try and make a good strategy work. Jazzman needs to, well, he's got that 10-second gap then. He's the car behind Defino. He's just coming through down the Craner corner right now, before this corner right now, which is the beautifully old hairpin. Of course, the old hairpin is where, I'm not really sure why it's called the old hairpin, to be fair, in history-wise, because it's way away from where Axel Hairpin was. So if you do know why it's called the old hairpin, do let us know in the chat, because from what I remember, the old circuit, it does wind around the forest, of course. It has a beautiful thing. I know Jimmy Broadbent has had a video on the old circuit. There's not many videos out there as well, because, of course, cameras, let's say, weren't really a thing back in the 1930s and 20s in availability. So not many on boards exist, of course. So you can find an on board that. I think Jimmy's got one of the only few out there. So do have a look at that one. Meanwhile, Fogarty, he is behind Tintin, and let's hope he doesn't run into the back of Tintin, and let's hope Fogarty doesn't end up flying off the road, who right at Stockers in his own corner right now. The chicane, Jess, is proving very treacherous for a lot of these drivers today.
Yes, it gets a bit slippery at times, and I can understand why, because there is a runoff area, there's a bit of gravel as well, and it's a very tight hairpin to get it right, and even a slight mistake can cost a little bit of a spin, which we've seen quite a few cars do earlier on. So something to watch out for towards the end of the race, where the tyres start to degrade a little bit towards the end, because they've obviously been in the tyres for most of the race for most of these people, so it'll be a little bit more difficult, and you've got to keep the car intact and get a little bit more into a rhythm, I must say. So I do agree that those are one of the tough corners on this circuit today, even in Formula 1. I can imagine the Formula 1 cars trying to go in the modern circuit. That'll be very, very tricky indeed. So I wonder how these would do it compared to the GT3 cars. As Big Kid Daddy, he is doing well in third, and he's got Gaza behind him now, because obviously Jazzman has pitted. He's down in 8th place now, but there's still people yet to pit in front of him now. So don't forget, a mandatory pit stop is required by all drivers, and you can choose what you want to do with it, of course. As long as you pit, that's absolutely fine. And we've got Jordan. He's going to try and get another position again. And Big Kid Daddy, as I was saying about pit stops, he's going to respond to the people behind and in front and going into the pits. What is Matt going to do then into turn one? Is he going to try and get the lunge? Yep, he's too far back, I'm afraid.
You need to be about, what, 110 behind Jess? Maybe even less than that. You really need to be right up at the last minute, almost side by side. These GT3 cars, and like, of course, you commentate a lot on the F1 cars. You can't make a dive in these things. You will end up careering into the back of the other car and spectacularly flying probably upside down into a tree. I've seen that a few times on this game, because the physics model, I'd say better than F1, because this physics model, you crash, and let's say well, we've seen it before, but try around the outside. He won't do that. Surely not around the outside, my friend. Has he gone around the outside?
He has.
He has. Just goes off, has he? He's lost the rear. He's gone completely around the outside. Well, whilst I was talking about physics models, and you won't be able to make an overtake doing that, well, he's gone and done the complete opposite, completely around the outside. So don't see that very often around there, up through McLean's, and he's gone and done him then. So Matt Jordan upstaging one of the hot drivers from a couple of seasons ago, and these veterans, you might say, Jasko are rather veteran right now. He was new a few seasons ago, a hot prospect. He's now been overtaken by the new hot prospect. So the new talent moving up, Jess. Good to see.
Yeah, I'm very, very impressed. I'm actually quite shocked. I think we underestimated him earlier on. But we've seen drivers who have joined midway through the season and done well, and considerably they've gone on to score really well in the seasons to come. So maybe we could see the same from Matt as the races go on, because obviously he's not going to fight for the championship, because he's obviously just joined this week. But he's going to have a lot of fun at least, and he is starting to push, which is good. And I like the fact that he doesn't have much pressure on him, because the less pressure you have, the more fun you're going to have and less risk you're going to take. Whereas we've got a few penalties on the board. I wasn't expecting it to be penalty central this evening, but as it is, it could make a difference between winning or losing a place in on the certain part of the championship maybe, or the standings. But the top three are keeping it clean. They have no penalties so far. And Boy Raxa 127.9. So he's getting a little bit of a feel of the circuit, a lot more than the other drivers. Gaz at 128.3. Papana 128.8. And Jazzman, who's just pitted, 127.958. So the only person to match Boy Raxa is Jazzman. Of course, the ones that were battling last week for the win.
Yeah, might I just add though, Mr. Matt Jordan, incredible pace right now. And you wonder if he didn't spin just earlier on, he could have been right up there with Boy Raxa, of course, because he lost about 13 seconds. And well, right now he's sitting about 14 seconds. He's clawing it back bit by bit so far. He's just behind Mr. Papado right now, who's last lap time will be a 128.4, 127.7. So right up there with the top guys as well. He's closing by some 5/10 a lap. So don't count Jordan out so far this race. He's got a long way to go. Mistakes still can creep in there. So if it doesn't happen again, because small mistakes can lead to big mistakes, and then they can lead to retirement. We've seen that with the likes of Archil earlier on today. And of course, we've seen that with the likes of Vector, Scold, Leonardo, all caught out. When one driver makes a mistake, they all tumble like flies. And, talk about Archil. There he goes. That disconnects then. So that might be brought up upon then. So that seems a little bit, let's not say forced like a disconnect there, but that seems a little bit fishy because it was already out of the race. But alas, they might get brought up later on. But of course, could be disconnecting the side sometimes in these trying times. Are very playful and very erratic, right, you say. Meanwhile, Jordan still closing up the opponent. We've got Big Kid Daddy behind Jazzman, so I don't think Big Kid Daddy's going to be going too quick. Well, I say he's not going to be going quicker than Jazzman. He is currently going quicker than Jazzman on cue, might I say, by 3/10 lap. So actually perfect as Boy Raxa comes in. Exact same lap time as Boy Raxa. So
wow.
Boy Raxa comes in. The thousandth of a second, Boy Raxa comes back out, and he should be well ahead of this group of cars. These guys just coming down to the last corner, so he's should come out, I think, even ahead of Jasco, actually. Maybe just. It'll be close to Jasco. Let's see. This is going to be awfully close to Jasco. Just come just out behind. That is not ideal for Baraxa there. He's now got work to do, so he's going to be a little bit hampered by the pace. He's got Tofino a little bit further back and a big gap downwards to that. So he can afford a little bit if he wants to, just to lift off, just to let Jasco pull away ever so slightly. But these GT drivers, they are not going to say no for an answer. They want to overtake anyone they can, but is Baraxa thinking the smart game? Was he thinking the long game? Does he want to try and battle a car that he's going to have to come in the pit lane sooner or later?
Yeah, exactly. And this is a thing where drivers have got to consider, not just for GTs, but all other forms of racing. If the driver ahead of you is on a different strategy, what would you do? What would you do? Because honestly, you don't want to get held up if you want to try and fight a position. But secondly, the guy in front, you don't really want to lose a bit of time just by battling someone. So it is a tough decision to make. But again, it does depend on the situation that these guys face, because the more they battle, the more the guys in front will be able to increase their gap, and that it would help them when they come to pit, or when they have done their pit stops down the line as well. But yeah, it should be interesting to see there, as I do believe Jazzman obviously is ahead of Big Kid Daddy now, so that is one thing that Jazzman has nothing to worry about now, because obviously he was one of the first people to respond. Surely a few people were probably prompted by Jazzman going into the pits, but not everyone, of course. I think mainly his biggest rivals.
2 seconds a lap quicker, Jazz. Big Kid Daddy is flying on this circuit. Jazzman's struggling out there. I mean, I talked to him earlier on. He said, don't expect much from me again today. He's not really comfortable with the car. The tyres aren't good. The conditions are cold. He can't push as hard as these drivers can. Some drivers, myself included, I can get some really good lap times out of this. I can find this very good conditions. Venturino down the back, he's having no luck again. He's a 136.7, so he's spun sometime around in the last couple of laps. But bad lap time is meanwhile, Cam has got past Papano around the outside into the chicane there. So Papano is really struggling in these conditions as well. So it looks like the Mercedes, the crab lies on the inside, down the inside there. Good braking zone there from Papano. He's one of the late breakers in this season. He's going to take no prisoners there. Woohoo! And he, one of the drivers who you do not want to come along again. So, well, Matt Jordan, you've got fierce competition, my friend. And I think Papano, he knows he's under pressure right now. These two set almost the identical lap time to the thousand of Papano, 2 seconds a lap slower there. But he's not making life easy for Matt. You hold that line, you hold it left, you hold it right. You're not coming through there, Sonny Jim, because Papano, he's been often complained about for some reckless moves down the inside, but that time, when he gets it spot on, he's almost Daniel Ricciardo-like, as he's very late on the brakes. And again, when he pulls it off, it's an incredible overtake.
I was speechless when he made that. That was sensational. I mean, some of the moves he's done this season haven't been great, but this has been one of the best ones for Papano, I must say. He has won this season, the first race, I might add, so he is a race winner in AOR this season, so it's nothing. There's nothing to be underestimated here for Papano. Once he's in the track that he's comfortable in, he does well, but he's got to worry about Matt, who is also quick as well. Papano, let me just look at his lap time, 1:30.3, so not that quick, because obviously he got trying to do the barrel, but we'll have to wait and see as they go through these potential corners. I need to remember what corner name it's called. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's McLean's that they're going in now, I believe. Turn 7, am I right?
No, Goddard's.
Mark.
That's the corner these two coming through as Cam comes to the pit, and I think we're talking about these two here. I'm not sure. Who are we talking about?
I don't know, Papano. I was talking about Papano. I got those corners wrong. I'm an idiot. Everything's
confusing. Papano is currently going through the first corner. I mean, that's Redgate. So, Jazzman still in 5th position. Oh, that's a bit close there between... Is that Gaza? It is Gaza. So, that's a bit of an... so, that is very close to what I say. These three drivers are awfully close right now. Look at that. You don't see this very often coming out of pit lane. Gaza has literally slotted in the best opportunity in his life, but now he's on cold tyres a little bit more than Vicky Daddy. Vicky Daddy's going to be trying to push hard as it comes. They come through the old hairpin. Ethan in the chat box saying that looks like a slowdown penalty from Papano earlier on. I think he might be right there because he's back up to pace straight away. Vicky Daddy, is he going to have a look sometime around? Well, he comes through McLean's right now, top of the circuit down towards Clean corner. I think, no, that's McLean. I don't know, one of the corners is McLean's. I get these circuits so confused sometimes. That's Coppins. There we go. So coming down then
so
towards
right.
chicane. They come. And indeed you are right. Titus meanwhile, he's behind Jordan so far. So even if this race finishes right now, Jordan's so far doing a stonking job. He might come out ahead of Papani, you know.
Don't jinx it, Eagle.
Currently battling with, is that Byraxa, who's trying to overtake him right now. Byraxa, who still leads this race, might I add, who's now overtaking Byraxa. So Byraxa overtaking Papano, side by side, there you go. Byraxa should easily get this move done. Papano not going to be fighting that too hard. As he lifts off, so backs out of the overtake there. Doesn't want to battle the leader too much, don't want to colliding with him. Remember, 5.6 seconds leading so far from Jasko in P3, who's rather jumped up. I'm not sure is Jasko yet to stop or not. I believe he has stopped. I don't recall him coming in the pit lane, though I might be mistaken there. Jazzman ahead of Gaza, and then got Big Kid Daddy. Then we've got Cam, who's all under pressure right now from Tinus. So Tinus starting to come alive then in this second half of this race. He's starting to get some good lap times in. We're waiting for Matt's tyres to warm up as well. But he's under a bit of pressure right now from one of the top endurance racers. Might I add, in the LMP2 season, he's rather up there with Jazzman. We're taking, I think, 2 or 3 victories so far this season. Alright, let's see if he can put a little bit of whispers on to old Matt. If they're not staying too far behind either, so two drivers keeping all with each other, Jack. And this is what we like to see up front, though. We have got Jasko in third. Papano is still yet to come in as well. I believe Jasko, as far as I'm aware, yet to come in the pit lane. Though we'll see in a little bit. But then we've got Gaz, Big Kid Daddy, and Cam. And we know the Lamborghini are very late on those brakes. So I don't see he's going to make a move from this far back. Unless, of course, he wants to end up flipping more of Matt upside down. But in terms of exit speed, Lamborghini with that grunty engine might be able to get the power on slightly earlier.
Yeah, I think so as well. And if you lay on the brakes, seems to be a common thing on this circuit, and the Lamborghinis do it extremely well. So let's see what Tinnis could do on this start-finish straight then towards turn 1 again. 1/10 is the best gap to beat if you want to have a chance of passing, and he's about 5/10 now, so he's not going to make the move. So we'll go back to potentially someone different, as Gazza is starting to hunt and to be defending at exactly the same time. And you don't want to be in that position pretty much all the race, but I think he's going to concentrate on Big Kid Daddy now, who is chasing like no tomorrow as they go up the hill here, as another corner where some people may start to lose it as well, as everyone is just keeping it intact at the moment, which is great to see. Vetro's still going. 1:29.9 was his fastest lap so far, so he's not the slowest out there at the moment, but he's one of those guys that, like we said a few weeks ago, Evil, and last week, where he doesn't give up. If he wants to set a good example, he wants to finish, and you know, it helps his reputation quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's proving himself, even though, right, yes, he might not be the quickest so far, but yeah, yes, he's making mistakes, but again, this race, not really a mistake that is his fault. I mean, well, Matt's making a small mistake there, is Jasko. He didn't come in the pit lane earlier on, because that is his first stop, so yes, I'm going to put all these drivers up one position, so Jasko's staying up very late, so very disappointing on what I say for Jasko. Disappointing results for him. He's going to come out, he'll come out just behind these two, I think just ahead of Defino. He should just come out, he'll come out just behind Defino. I think this will be awfully close to Defino. Maybe he'll come out ahead of him. Should come out easily ahead of Fogarty, like he does do so. So, 9th position for him. That is not really a result I was expecting so far. Didn't have a good race last time in Hockenheimring. Didn't have a good result right now so far in Donington Park. So, struggling whilst others are making positions. 1:27.8 for Papano. Cam's 1:27. Matt's, I'd say 1:27.6. So almost identical lap times, about 2-3 tenths a lap quicker. Behind them, Tin is 1:27.4. Then they are catching Big Kid Daddy ever so slightly, with the gap there almost 9-8 seconds. So not really going to catch loads for the time being. And these are all three, Jazzman Gaza and Big Kid Daddy, all setting very identical lap times as well, and all critically slower than your race leader Boyraxa.
Yeah, Boyraxa is doing quite well, but Papano is chasing him a little bit, but still, has Papano made a pit stop?
Nope, still yet to come in.
That's probably right then, so I think the gap will probably still be the same when Papano pits anyway, so obviously Jasko is now 9 seconds, so yeah. Unless Boyraxa makes a mistake, I think Boyraxa has a chance of getting another win. It's going to be more than not, really, and I think this is probably going to be one of those championships where it's not going to go down to the wire, which I'm gutted, really. I hope it does go down to the wire, but we'll see. We'll be halfway next week. We'll be the second half this week. We're at the end of the first half of the season in Donington this week, obviously. Anything can happen in these last 5 or 6 races coming up as well. We've seen some good races like last week, and this hasn't been a bad race so far. Overall, Tinnis, he's improving quite a bit, isn't he? He's improving his consistency to Mr. Matt Jordan right in front of him. He's doing very well. So, you know, I mean, Tinnis would be probably expecting a podium, but at least he's get to battle with some people, and usually sometimes...
Oh, do you say that, Jess? And well done, my friend. You've got him. And he must be careful. He's rejoining the circuit there. He also got a few cars, and he's going to be dropped right down. He'll come out now. So, Matt Jordan, critical mistake. Did I say earlier, Jess, I'm going to go too hard on those cars? Well, he's gone and done it, hasn't he? Cold tyres, a little bit too pushy, got on the curbs, spun the car through 360 degrees, through into the grass, Jess, and, well, we say commentator's curse, and I think we need to get a sticker saying the commentator cursing banned, because we do it too oftenly. And Laszlo, that's not gone well, has it?
No. I think last week it was you. This week I think it's turned into the Jess Jinx show.
Yeah, it's the Evil and Jess Jinx show, or the Liam and Jess. So my name is Liam, of course. If you didn't know, no. No, I just always call evil.
Surprise!
I just always called evil. No one calls my actual name anymore these days. But nonetheless, evil is a good name as well. It's the same amount of letters, so it's easy to remember. Well, meanwhile, Gaza, so far in 4th position. Now he's on the pressure by 2. My big daddy behind him. Tin is right now in no man's land. He's got Defino behind him. Let's see if Matt Jordan can come back through this field. He's going to be gutted. He's going to be raring to go. He's going to be a man on the mission. And I expect him to try and charge through the field as quick as he can. And let's see what he can do. Big Kid Daddy, meanwhile, still there behind Gaza. Big Kid Daddy, look, might I say, he's doing a stunning job. Even if he makes mistakes, he's proving to me right now he can remain with these top guys. The elder statesman, he is the one of the older drivers on the grid. Compared to Fogarty, of course, he's about 905 million years old, we believe, at this point. But nonetheless, you might call me a bit cheeky something word after this later on, though explicit might come along the line of that line. For Big Kid Daddy, he's another statesman as well. Often he poses himself to be one of the top drivers. Struggled so far at the beginning of this season. It's starting to come all good for him. So far 5th. Maybe even 4th position. Depends on what Gaza can do. Gaza's pushing hard as well. He's trying to catch up to Jasko, Jazzman, who's in 3rd position. Jasko, meanwhile, is in 8th position after getting that position off of poor old Matt, who spun off into the Netherrealm. Leonardo, meanwhile, down there in top, and Vetro struggling away in 13th, though his lap times are pretty good compared to other drivers. He's quickly learned both Scold and Fogarty and a few others as well, so it's not all doom and gloom for Mr. Vetro, as we have got somewhat 16 laps to go till the end of this race. Up front, Baraxa still leads by some 2.6 seconds, though it is actually by net 10 seconds, but Pano still yet to come. And you know what, though, Jess? Papino's going to be happy about this, for that Matt Spun, because he was battling him extremely hard. Now he hasn't really got to do too much to look backwards, because now he's got clean gap, really. I think Defino and Tins will be with him. Let's see, of course, if Matt can try and catch up to Fogarty, so that's going to be crucial for him.
Yep, indeed, as we're pretty much almost at the home stretch for some of these drivers, as it is potentially going to be the hardest part of the race, where they got to keep the car intact, is where the tyres are starting to squirm.
Oh,
man,
that's a weird. That is a weird off. I've never seen that in a long
another jinx.
time.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
On the curb, when I say he doesn't need to make mistakes, need to catch up, he goes off the circuit, and well, if it can go wrong for Matt Jordan today, we'd rather put the nail in the coffin for him. And in the pit lane he comes with the speed as well, and I think he sped in the pit lane as well, has he not? He has sped in the pit lane, and that has gone from bad to worse to even worse. And poor old Matt, who was looking sky high a few moments ago until we said he was doing well, and now he stalled it in the pit lane as well, I think. He has stalled it in the pit lane as well.
Oh, that's not good, no.
I think he's getting fixed for damage, actually. My apologies there, fixing the damage. Petro, though, he's overtaken someone. So Petro can be happy. He's overtaken someone, alas. Leonardo damage on the front end of that car. That was contact earlier on in the race. So, only a few people without penalty. The top two, Gaza, Big Kid Daddy, Defino, and Leonardo, all those drivers without penalties today. Gaza, he's still in 4th. Big Kid Daddy still in 5th position. These two turning into a 128.1 to a 128.5. Kyra had Jasmine 127.9, 127.9, and a 127.6 for Byraxer. So Byraxer is flying out there. He's the quickest driver by, let's just say, a couple of tenths of a second, give or take. So he's got all that work for right now. I mean, what? Might I say, Scold's having a shocking race in that Audi compared to where Fogarty is. Fogarty rather doing a good job. He's pitted on that number 1 for damage. So far, he's not really making any other mistakes so far in this race, and he's in 9th position. So things looking up for Fogarty in this race. He's people often slate him as not being the quickest driver in the world, but when he's on his day, he's a consistent little fellow. And he can keep the car definitely where he wants to do. He can get the positions where he wants, and he is catching Jasko and Duffino a little bit, I believe, or last time not correct, because he's dropping back ever so slightly. But the gap there, what about 5-6 seconds between these drivers, so he's not too far off. A small mistake from these guys and he'll be right with them. Big Caddy Light still piling on the pressure from Gaza up ahead, so these two, they're not over yet. We've still got, some 12 and a bit laps to go in this motor race, and Big Caddy still looking for that 4th position.
Yeah, but it's not over until the checkered flag falls, and we've seen how a few drivers can make mistakes on the last lap, and you don't want to happen of that, of course. So Big Daddy's going to try and make sure he buckles under pressure when he needs to, which will be great to see, as well as he is chasing sector after sector right now. He's doing quite well on his gearbox at the moment. He's 2 attempts, so he can potentially get the move done now if he wants to, but he doesn't want to risk spinning it or going into the gravel or grass or whatever like that. So he's just going to wait for the right opportunity to pounce. He's looking very racy at the moment as they both go up the hill, as they just go past turn 7 and 8. And he's not going to go for the lunge yet because he doesn't think there will be too much space in front as well. We got Defino as well, who's I think also another car that I saw in front of them as well.
Jazzman.
Oh no, that's Jazzman. Sorry, or I know it was a Lamborghini anyway, and I wasn't sure what Lamborghini it was.
Is he gonna have a look at the inside here on the brakes? No, he's not doing it yet. Gaza late on the brakes. There's a lock up there. Rear end wants to come around. So does Big Kid Daddy's, to be fair. So these two very loose rear ends on their cars respectively. They're even in the chat saying that Matt Jordan got on the grass. That's the reason why he ended up clipping and doing that flick spin there. So that's, alas, we didn't quite see that one in the moment. But thank you there, Ethan, our in-game chat race spotter, our Ted. We'll call him our Ted then. Our little Ted. You might have to bring him in the commentary box sometime. You know, get him into looking at what's going on. Always provide some entertainment. Our fellow commentator from last season who had to pull out due to D29 pedal issue. Unfortunately, his pedals spectacularly combusted without fire, which is good. We don't want fire in. Yeah, it deaded. It didn't go well. He put some grease in there, and then the wire. Something happened to the wire. It didn't go well. Everything went wrong, and well, it could be worse. Meanwhile, Capano still hasn't come in the pit lane. He's got some 10 laps to go before he gets himself in a bit of a trouble. So, from what I'm processing the race right now, apart from these two, have kept each other nose to tail this entire race, and it's awfully good to see Big Kid Daddy, the elder statesman, like I said, keeping up with the young guns, the season champion just 2 seasons ago. And let's see if he can try and make an upset. Well, he's trying it. He won't do it yet, though. He's a little bit too far back to make any opportunistic moves. Remember, he needs to be about 2, maybe 1/10 behind if you want to make a move around this circuit. It's difficult to overtake around here because, of course, the nature of the circuit, it's an old-style circuit there. I think someone in the background's gone off the road down there. Is that Scold going off the road? Oh, it is. Hello, Scold. Yeah, it is Scold going off the road. Now, how has he done that, I wonder? So, going on the inside there is, he must have gone on the curb on the outside of that is Cleans there, I think, at the top of the circuit then, as cutting the corner for good measure. Now that seems a little bit naughty, Scold, as what has happened here then. So, bit of corner cut, Jasko in the pit lane, so that's for damage. Now, am I wondering, were these two close together? No, they were not close together. So what has happened to Scold then? I imagine he must have made a small mistake, or has he got damage potentially? No, he's not coming in, so no damage for him. But a critical mistake and a little bit clumsy cutting that chicane, Jess, and you might get told off for that.
Yeah, don't forget the stewards are watching every move. They have been warned, obviously. They do get a little bit of a briefing before the race in the Apex Online Racing forums, and they have been asked to read it, and if they don't, they're going to get into a lot of trouble, and you can tell who has read it and who hasn't by the way these guys are driving. So yes, even though it might not be in their POVs, or they might have not recorded it even, we are watching every move as well. So if they exploit the track limits a bit more, they will get told off by the stewards, and you don't want that, and you may risk a penalty. But quite a lot of people have got penalties due to track limits already. So looks like hardly anyone is getting away with it at the moment, apart from obviously 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 7th and 9th place. But we shall see. And it is starting to wind down here in Donington Park. It is almost at an end. We're on lap 34 of 41. We're on the 33rd racing lap so far here in Donington. And yeah, this is coming up to be a professional race. But it happens in racing sometimes. And you just got to focus on the strategy more than anything in these last few laps.
You do, my big daddy though. Still keeping the car in one piece. Still keeping the car behind Gaz. I was about to say that, and you looked like for a second the car was about to go flinging around in a circle. So, alas, the commentator Curtis is remaining relatively neut, might I say. But he doesn't seem to be able to get himself too much closer to Big Kid Daddy, even in the chat saying the engines are separate. So that puts that to rest then. Big Kid Daddy switching one side to the other. He wants to try and find a way through, but there really isn't a way through, as rather almost went into the back of that Mercedes. Now he has a little look around the outside. Is he going to have a look at the inside? No, backs off the move again. Almost puts himself on the grass. He's really trying to get through. Gazzo looks like he's struggling in this race so far. Has not got the pace at all. Last lap from Gazzo, almost a 128.8. 128.8 as well for Big Kid Daddy. He's rather getting held up, I feel, right now, Jack.
Yeah, I think so as well. And we've seen similar situations in the round 2 as well. Ruinless Stars, where potentially the less opportunities you have to overtake, the more you could try and hold people up and try and lose some time to the car who's in front of you. So yeah, he is really struggling, I think, both of them, just to get past, I think. So it's going to be hard for him in these last few moments of the race to get the move. I mean, he may wait until about lap 39 to try and get the move, but that'll be a bit too late. Oh, there's a bit late on the brakes there from these two. They're getting ever so close now. They're within a 10 apart so far, which means they can challenge for the move. And Big Kid Daddy's got to get it done soon, but it's just so hard. As I think that was a corner cut, I think, almost. As the Big Kid Daddy's on the grass. Luckily, it didn't end in a massive shunt because, you know, you don't want to get caught up in the grass like that. And I think due to that mistake, I think Gaz is starting to pull away by around an extra 3 or 4 tenths to now 6 tenths in this part of the lap.
Yeah, I got too close up behind Gazelle. Couldn't slow the car down, and I had to just skip over the chicane so slightly. That shouldn't have done too much harm, though. Should get away with it that time around, I believe. We'll just check. Yeah, he has seemed not got a penalty, so gets away with it this time around. Got too close. He needs to just try and get the exit. If he gets the exit of that chicane well, out of course, top of the circuit, he might just be within a shot of making a move down towards the Melbourne hairpin, but that's crucial if he can get that line around there, because he's quick, he's got pace right now, but he just can't get past Gazza, and this is just turning into a thing. If he can get a good line out of Coppice, which of course is just right-handed coming off after this corner here. We're currently through McLean's right now. It's coming to turn number 8. So let's see if he can do anything. He needs to just get about 2 tenths, 1 tenth. Nail this chicane. You can cut it more than you think, of course, but these cars, the tyres are cold. The tyres are worn as well. The fuel's coming down. It's not going to be the best. He just needs to try. Get a good line here. Make a small mistake. Try and have a little lunge, maybe. Try and force him into a mistake. And he might just be able to make it. It's a little bit too far back again. About 2.5 tenths, give or take. You want to make a move from that far back again at the Melbourne hairpin. Up front, Pano starting to drop back. Remember, he's still got to make that pit stop. So he'll be doing it later on. Meanwhile, Matt Jordan in the pit lane again, down at the back. And if it can go on wrong for him, Jess, we've cursed him forever now. He might never ever get a good result. So, alas, not what we want to be doing. He came in earlier on. He came back out and he's back in again. So some issues again for him. And it happens in racing. He's back out on circuit exactly on cue. But these mistakes happen, of course, in motor racing. Jasko in 12th, veteran up to 11th, closing up on Skull. The gap between those two, some 5 seconds. And Skull going about a second, 2 seconds a lap slower, might I say, than Vetro. So those two potential for a battle later on, whilst we're keeping an eye on the only battle on the circuit right now. That is between the Elder Statesman and the season 13 champion, might I say, as well. The car, of course, that has won the last 4 championships in a row, and maybe trying to go for a 5th championship in a row. The black and blue, the Project Cars team, often up there. Gaza, small mistake this time around. Is he going to have a look at the inside? There, he's covering it. Is he going to have a look at the inside? No, can't do it. Has to switch around the outside. Then on the brakes. Can he try around the outside? Try the car back. No, he can't. Gaza, there we go. That is the championship advantage. That is that experience. And that's why he's a champion. Knows exactly when to defend. Knows and plays his cards well. Won't allow him to come through at all. Just defends, blocks the best he can. And that might just be one of the few opportunities he'll get. He needs those small mistakes to come through. Behind them there's Tins, and then that is Matt Jordan, who's down there in 13th, but he is way over 4.5 minutes. Almost, sorry, my bad. I think almost 5.5 minutes down compared to Jasko. So he is having absolutely no luck today. Well, always got to start somewhere, Jess, and he's trying times. You make a mistake, you learn from it. And next week, of course, when we come to, I'm not exactly certain where the next race is. Nürburgring then. So we're racing the GP circuit in the sprint and feature format. That to be quite fun indeed. That circuit should provide some good racing, and like, of course, what we saw at Rowan and Sarts. Maybe we'll see the true test of me, and we'll see if the reverse grid is actually any good. We didn't really get to see the full potential last time. Maybe we'll this next time. Well, Big Kid Daddy made a small mistake there up through the exit of Coppens there, exit of McLean's. Dropping back a few tenths again, but he's still about 4 tenths, give or take, behind. Keeping with him. I'm going to say though, Jess, even though if he spins, he makes a mistake, this has been a very good result, and he's got some serious good pace, and he can only be smiling in that cockpit, can't he?
Yeah, I agree. So let's look at his results. Actually, no, let's not look at his results, as Big Kid Daddy is closing up to Gaza, as he's going to try for a lunge. No, he doesn't. But anyway, let's have a run through. He's got the 6th place in Catalonia, then an 8th and a 4th in France, and a 7th place in Ripana, and a 5th place last week. So his best result was in the longer race in Rouen-les-Essarts. So, you know, he's liking those tracks where you can't really overtake, because he's a good defender and usually a good attacker as well. So, you know, I think when it comes to it, he doesn't like to overtake as much, but when he does it well. So, you know, he's consistent, he's consistent. That's why he's 5th place in the championship right now, and Jasko not doing too well at the moment, so it looks like he could climb up another place, which will actually, no, he won't, because he's let me just look at the gap between him and Jasko. 29 points is the gap between him and Jasko, so...
No, he won't then.
No, he won't, but he will close up to him anyway, which is pretty good. And if he keeps this up, and if Jasko starts to fall down the wayside a little bit, you know, Big Kid Daddy could get a 4th, or even actually, no, not 3rd, because obviously the top 3 are running away with it at the moment, but maybe a 4th place in the championship, which, I mean, that'll be good. Anyway, it's Papano. He is on for his final stop. Well, his mandatory stop. He left it late. I did say a few people would leave it late, but, you know, it happens at times. And I do believe, I can't remember when or it might be just because of damage or something like that, but I don't know. I can't remember he's pitched or not, but anyway, won the penultimate lap anyway, and you can already see the gap. It's just different between everybody else, between Boyrax and everybody else. It's just second to none. I mean, Jazzman had the battle last week, but they're not going to have the battle this week, because Boyrax is running away with it.
Yeah, he very much says. Tin is just slotting behind Papano. Papano, as long as he doesn't end up flipping upside down, or as long as he doesn't get punted off the road, there is Tinnis rather late on the brakes there, gives him a little bit of a friendly nod, saying, move over, he says, I'm going for 5th. And, well, he's not going to come through like that, my friend. You gave him a touch. Might give him a bit of damage, in fact, actually. It looked like he touched him ever so slightly there. It was Big Kid Daddy still hunting down the battle for 4th position. Again, good exit here, but again, not close enough. He's really, if he wants to overtake, he has to go up the inside. So the only way he's going to do it is going for that inside, as Tinnis behind Papano. No overtake there. Meanwhile, down the back, Vectro finally caught Lewis. He's been catching by some 2-3 seconds a lap, and finally he has caught him. So you'll have maybe just about one or so laps to make that overtaking opportunity if they do want to try it. As the big Kid Daddy still pulling on the pressure. We are on the last lap of this race from lap 41 of 41. That means a grand total of 0 laps to go then in this race. Alas, but the one we're currently on.
1 lap to go.
Yes, we have 1 lap to go. My apologies there is again right up the rear. Trying it is as close as he's got so far this race. But I don't think it's going to be enough yet. Unless he gets a good exit through the exit of McLean's down in 3 Coppins, he's not going to do it. In the background, Matt Jordan in again. So he's having a torrid season. So, well, beginning of his...
he's still going.
He's still going. But at last, it's not going to be too much. Here we go then. Up through the gears then. Is he close enough? As we'll keep an eye out for your leader, by the way. They're just coming through the last couple of corners now. So... is he close enough to make a lunge here? He's not yet. Meanwhile, though, through the last corner, Borax up. He hasn't even been touched this race. He took the lead, he stayed there, and he wins again then. Borax up. Another fantastic victory today here in this circuit. He wins here in Donington. Jazzman, he'll come across the line in 2nd position then. He's coming through the last couple of corners. Another fine result. 2 seconds on a trot. Gaz... it's going to come just ahead of Big Kid Daddy by not much though. Gaz up, finishes 3rd. Big Kid Daddy in 4th. Behind him, Papano fends off Tennis, who was got a penalty anywhere in 6th. Defino in 7th. As Tennis is going to send it. Oh, dear God. As Vetro is... Vetro, I think Vetro is dead. Vetro is very much in a few pieces down in the gravel trap. Defino, he finishes in 7th. Fogarty.
That's a good result for him.
Yeah, Fogarty fine 8th as well. He'll be happy with that after the amount of struck he's had this season. Leonardo in 9th. Jasco is the last driver to come across the line, I think. No, he's already crossed the line actually. So we're just waiting on Mr. Leonardo then. And that is your results in the bag. Unless we're waiting
Matt Jordan.
Matt Jordan to finish then. So he's last one. Let's see what they're doing down in the gravel traps and stuff. What are they doing?
Let's not.
They're currently there's a lot of GT3 cars in debris. The race has just finished there. Matt doesn't even get to finish, but that's a real shame for him. Well, Boraxalen, the man from Venezuela, I think that's Venezuela. It might not be, but it's near. It's out of Colombia. Beat the South African of Jazzman there. Gaza in 3rd. The Irishman there in 3rd. Big Daddy then, the fighter of the British form, beat the Greek of Papano. Tinnis in 6th, ahead of the Czechoslovakian in 7th. Fogarty in 8th, ahead of Leonardo and Jasko, who is in some country. I don't exactly know the flag. Vecto in 11th, Scold the Pope in 12th position. And poor old Matt Jordan in 13th did not finish or class as a DNF. 2 other drivers out of this race, that being of Esser and the car of the poor old Mr. Archie, whose 2nd retirement in a row.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You can't really take a break from Archie there, but a pretty decent showing from obviously Boyrax, so you know no one can touch him. Like you said, it was brilliant to watch all race, so well done to him. And obviously pretty much the top 3 was pretty much the same top 3 as last race, so you know they are showing why they're the dominant people in the league. And it's great to see Jazzman up there with a 2nd podium in a row. I mean, he wasn't expecting much this week, but I think that helps him a lot here, because I think a bit of reverse psychology. It happens to me sometimes. If I have low expectations, usually I do better, which is good. So that's probably what Jazzman is thinking right now. A good attitude to have, I must say. But what do you think, Hebel? Who do you think was your standout driver today?
Oh, I've got to give it to Big Kid Danny again.
Yeah, I agree.
He's surely been a man he's working his way up. And by the way, I must say there's a few drivers not very happy with these conditions. Tinnis, very explicit. Scold as well. Some were beginning an F and C, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to get the stream taken down. But you can imagine it ends in something bad and it's a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what he's saying. But alas, then some drivers are not happy with these conditions. Next week we go to the Nürburgring. Hopefully, Jess, that race can provide some entertainment, where this week has been very much processional, but we had some, very few, but some good moments.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to the sprint race. Hopefully it will bring us some entertainment, I'm sure. A lot more opportunities to overtake than obviously the first sprint race of the season. So I'm excited about this. For those of you that don't know what the sprint race and the feature race entails, it's a normal qualifying session to start with, and then it's a 20-minute sprint race, and then it's a 40-minute feature race. So the race is split down into a 20-minute race and then a 40-minute race as well. And obviously the feature race, it will be reverse grid. That the top 8 will be reversed based on the results from the sprint race. So just a quick update for you there. So it's been a great stream. Thank you guys so much for watching us, and thank you so much for watching the drivers as well. And obviously thanks to Evil for joining me again, and we'll see you same time next week, 8 PM for PS4 Tier 1 as they take on Nürburgring. See you soon. Goodbye.